Welcome to the Prophecy Club. Our topic today is Russia deploys nuclear weapons and the U.S. is deploying missiles. Now, the interesting part is where they're deploying these. Now, before I get into that detail here, it is summertime and God has blessed you and you can help Prophecy Club. We very much appreciate it. It would be nice if we didn't have monthly bills, but they roll around every month. I'm sure you understand what I'm talking about. So if you can help, we would appreciate that. Okay, so anyway, this is brand new. And as I started reading it, I thought, we've had enough of these, but the anointing touched me. So I feel like God has directed me to bring this to you. So I will, as this is his program to his people to build his kingdom. So I report to him, and I will do as I'm told. So it's called Nukes, and it comes to us from a guy named Steve in Ohio. That's all I have. The dream started, he said, I was on an airplane. It was in a slow descent. Everybody was lined up to jump out the front door of the aircraft. I was given a parachute and told that the city was St. Louis. The whole city was on fire. I saw another nuclear blast, and I grabbed onto the door. I tried to stay in the aircraft, but could not. I determined that we were just east of St. Louis. More blasts detonated. Each was a different color. One was yellow, one white. They detonated all within about 10 minutes of each other. I had the feeling that they wanted to make sure that the city was truly dead. The fire and heat was so intense below, everything was on fire. After my chute opened, I was very high in the air, and I pulled the strings to turn, and I saw that the west coast was on fire. I continued turning and saw 3 other blasts just north of St. Louis. Then I saw Omaha, Kansas City, and probably Denver also get hit. The dream ended. He says, now, I know physically I could never see that far in the dream, but I could see it perfectly. I've heard many of the people say that in a dream or a vision like this, when God wants to show what he wants to show, you can see the whole United States. And who knows, maybe even the world. If he wants to show you, he can show you, okay? Point being that apparently we're getting close to this as we look at these other articles. This is from Reuters. Putin says tactical nuclear weapons to be deployed in Belarus in July. Russia will start deploying tactical nuclear weapons in Belarus. All right, now, what's the difference when we say tactical nuclear weapons? My understanding, I'm not an expert on this, but my understanding is a tactical nuclear weapon can be anywhere from 1 kiloton to typically 4 kilotons, which are approximately the size of what they dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. In other words, it's more for the battlefield. It doesn't destroy a whole nation, but it destroys a city. Like, for example, if you were to drop one in Fort Worth, not all of Fort Worth, or one in Dallas, not all of Dallas would be destroyed. But, in the process of months, it would essentially destroy it, just one in each one of the cities. Well, tactical nuclear weapons are designed for the battlefield. Now, what is going to be hitting America, in my opinion, based upon the other prophecies out there, they have nuclear weapons that are roughly 250 times more powerful than what Hiroshima and Nagasaki. There's a place, I want to say it's in Isaiah, I'm not sure, it might be Jeremiah, but it says the earth is moved at the taking of Babylon, meaning when the big Russian nuclear bombs go off and hit America, in my opinion, about 4 months before Jesus returns, that they are so big, so powerful, all of them hitting within, I believe Henry Gruber said that they all landed within 60 seconds of launch. In other words, they all hit pretty much the same. Now, how many? Well, the truth is, I don't know. But my guess is they're probably going to try to take out at least the top 100 cities. These weapons are big enough to where one hit Dallas, there's nothing left of Dallas. One hit Fort Worth, there's nothing left of Fort Worth. It might take 2 for Houston or 2 for Chicago, but I'm talking about flat earth, scorched earth, nothing but bricks of concrete that used to be stairs to houses or mobile homes. That'd be the only thing left. Not even trees. Maybe tree trunks. Anyway, let's go on. So Russia will start deploying tactical nuclear weapons in Belarus after special storage facilities are made ready by July 7 and 8. In other words, you can't just move nuclear weapons around just wherever you want to. You have to make certain that they are in a secure location so other people don't steal them. July 7 to 8 pointed U.S. deployment of tactical nuclear weapons in a host of European countries over many decades. In other words, Russia is claiming, look, we aren't starting this. The big bully on the block is the United States. And based upon other things we've read, that's true. In other words, America is not the good guy nation that we used to be. Right now, America is owned and controlled by the Molochs, the most evil people on the planet. They are in control of it. And they are set on setting their guy, the Antichrist, on the throne, so he sitteth in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God. And if they have to take out America, and they will, in order to put the Antichrist on the throne, that's exactly what they will do. More than 15 months into the biggest land war in Europe since World War II, Putin says the United States and its Western allies are pumping arms into Ukraine, and they've openly admitted this, as part of an expanding proxy war aimed at bringing Russia to its knees. Now, it used to be a proxy war. In other words, two guys are in the parking lot, and they're throwing rocks at each other. And we are, as America, what we're doing is standing there and handing rocks to Ukraine to throw at Russia. Are we involved in the conflict? Look, if you're handing rocks to the guy to throw, even though you're not the one throwing them, you're handing them rocks, you made the rocks, you transported them over there, and you're handing them to him so he can throw them, yeah, you're involved in the war. That's where America is. 4 days until NATO exercise begins and maybe a direct war with Russia. Now, this is actually a continuation of, I believe this was the article, but I'm pretty sure it came from Hal Turner. He says, let me ask you, if one day soon you're up in the morning doing what you usually do and suddenly the emergency broadcast system tones start coming out of your cell phone or radio or TV, something like that, saying the United States is under nuclear attack from Russia. Take shelter immediately. He says, what's the first thing you would do? Now, I'd like to just pause here just a second. I think that's a really, really, really important question, and I would like you to answer it. And I'm gonna tell a little story because I think this is such an important thing to ask. Okay, I went and pulled it up because I want to read it to you. So this was a dream given to my wife, Prophet Leslie Johnson, March 22, 2006. She said in the dream, let me back up. So what had happened was we were another one of our financial pinches, of which it seems like we're in one almost all the time. And so she just prayed and she said, Lord, should I just tell Stan to just close Prophecy Club and go get a job? Well, this was the answer. God gave her this dream that night. She said, Stan and I were on a beautiful island. We were much older. She says, much, much older. Stan had white hair and did the old man shuffle, and he could only shuffle his feet as he walked, and my hair was solid gray. Many of the local people were following us. Stan kept telling them to keep up because we had to get moving to get out of the city. That's what I want to talk about. I'll come back to it. To get out of the city, out of the blast radius of missiles we knew were in the air. He was preaching and leading souls to the Lord, and I was still spunking and rounding up people to listen to Stan. As we walked toward the forest area, the trail became narrower and the trees denser. We kept telling the people to hurry and come on. We had to move quickly, just as we were entering the shelter of the trees. I looked up and saw a huge missile hit the city. There was a cloud of sand, almost like powder falling from the sky. There was a chemical smell in the air, which smelled like an insecticide. It may have been some kind of biological weapon. The smell was so strong. I awoke from the dream. The dream was so real that I could even taste the chemical when I awoke and can still smell it today when I think about it. All right, now, what I want to do is back up here. Right here is what I want to call your attention to. Many of the people were following us. Stam kept telling him to keep up because we had to keep moving to get out of the city, out of the blast radius of the missiles. I think that's a problem. I do not think that that's the correct way to actually react, and I'm very thankful that the Lord gave her that dream, because that's not what I will do. So I'll tell you what I'll do. Wherever I am, when I hear, should I hear, that the missiles are on the way, I'm going to go into my prayer closet. I'm going to get on my knees, and I'm sure Leslie will too, and instead of running, instead of trying to protect ourselves and our own power, which I know we can't do anyway, I'm going to be praying. Now, if he chooses to go ahead and take us home at that time, that will be his choice, but I'm going to go worshiping him. So that would be my answer. So if I hear that missiles are in the air, that they're heading to America, if a person really had some kind of a bomb shelter, that wouldn't be a bad place to go. I'm not saying don't go there, but I think as for me and Leslie, we would just get on our knees and start worshiping God, because after all, that's what I do. I serve the Lord, and my heart beats to serve him, and at what time I'm done serving him, he can take me home. That's my attitude. Okay, so he goes on to say, do you have, here, let me back up, finish this sentence here. For most people, they have no idea at all. Do you call your spouse? Do you make a mad dash to get the kids from school? You and everybody else, and find an instant Mad Max scenario on the roads. I'm going to skip this. Do you have any emergency food, water, medicine, or do you have a bug-out bag? Matter of fact, let me give you an update on the bug. So when I had that dream recently where I was preparing a bug-out bag, I pulled out, we have 3 bug-out bags, and I laid them all out on our living room floor, and they are still there at this moment. And we've been looking at it, and I realized that we're sadly lacking in several areas. So I made a few orders. A few of those orders have come in. I mean, we didn't even have like a sleeping bag, okay? We didn't have a tent, okay? There's a few things you got to have. We didn't have them. So I've ordered those, expect those to arrive probably today, and then the plan is to pack it all up neatly and figure out exactly how we want to pack it, and in other words, where we are ready to go. Now, again, it's good to be ready to go in case the Lord says, go. But on the other hand, my first reaction is not going to be to run to try to protect myself. My reaction is going to be just to worship the Lord. Anyway, do you think you'll be able to go to the supermarket to buy food? Upon a nuke blast, do you think your credit card, debit cards will work so you can buy food? He says, no. Better start thinking about these things, because the way things are going, 4 days from now, that would be, we're now in the middle of it, your whole world could change. In other words, this whole thing with this NATO exercise, which is a mock exercise attacking Russia, we could be in a war real quick. I don't think it's time for the Russians to attack America and surprise. No, I know it's not. But nevertheless, it might be a good idea for us to think about what we're going to do in that situation. U.S. positioning missile launchers all along the California coast. Did you catch that? I've never heard in my lifetime that the U.S. is positioning missiles off of any coastline in America. The article says, and this came in from somebody that emailed it in, I live near Oceanside, not far from Camp Pendleton. I have to drive about 20 minutes every day to work down to San Diego. Today, I noticed the U.S. Navy has put upwards of 20 naval ships offshore at various points along the way. Now remember, they have a looking glass. They have time machines. They know what's coming. So when they prepare like this, we should prepare. Today I noticed the U.S. has about 20 naval ships offshore at various points along the way I drive, and there are military trucks with missiles aimed out toward the sea at a number of locations. Are you listening? Activity at Camp Pendleton is at a level 1 that I have never seen before. Something very big is coming. I have a sick feeling about this. Also remember, the Speaker of the House, Kevin McCarthy, took the sudden and very unusual step of canceling all votes in the House of Representatives just recently. Now they are back in session, I understand. Last week, all the U.S. senators were given satellite phones in case of comms going down. Memorial Day weekend, high-ranking government officials were told that them and their families should go spend the holiday in the government bunkers. Ben Armstrong says, Russia is ready to nuke America in a preemptive strike. Russia says it will nuke America in a preemptive strike. America seems to be poking the bear, and I agree. He says Armstrong cited recent events that made a former Russian President Dmitry Medvedev. He says there are some irreversible rules of war. If it comes to deliveries of nuclear weapons to Ukraine, a preemptive strike will have to be carried out. Did you hear that? Okay, America has not, at least to our knowledge, delivered nuclear weapons to Ukraine, but that's about the only thing they haven't delivered. And I just got, somebody sent me a video just moments ago that says that the U.S. and NATO now have boots on the ground in Ukraine. I don't have confirmation of that, so I decided not to put it in today's program, but probably it's true, and probably I'll have confirmation in a day or so. Finds it amusing that Americans don't think the Russians are capable of launching a nuclear attack against the United States. You know, these racquetball buddies I play with, occasionally we'll get into a conversation sitting out on the bench between the games, and sometimes I'll ask them, "What do you think? Russia will ever attack America?" No, Russia will never attack America. They really don't believe it. Americans have freaked out about nuclear war way more than there was a less chance of it happening. America is far closer to being struck by nuclear weapons now as compared to the time of the Cuban Missile Crisis. Russia is being poked by the Joe Biden administration, I agree. Russia is looking at a preemptive strike, and that means that they could strike tomorrow if they wanted to. And, of course, we know from the prophecies that's not ready to happen, but we also know from the prophecies it is going to happen. The Biden administration has given Russia every justification to attack America after the Nord Stream pipeline was blown up, and they have every right to attack us right now. I've talked about that. They do. They don't even need the F-16. They've already said that they might nuke us over what they've already done. We've already given them cause to attack us. Later on the article, headline, Russia's preemptive strike will catch every American by surprise. America would not have a response against a preemptive strike by Russia. He said Russia's surprise attack would most likely come from submarines launching missiles out of the ocean. Sounds almost like he's been listening to Dmitry Duduman, doesn't he? In case you're not familiar with that, let me quote that. The angel Gabriel told Dmitry Duduman in 1984, the fall of America will start with an internal revolution in America started by the communists. Some of the people will start fighting against the government. The government will be busy with internal problems. Then from the oceans, Russia, Cuba, Nicaragua, Central America, Mexico, and two of the countries will attack and defeat America in 1 day and 1 hour. So great riches will come to naught. Then God will raise up China, Japan, and many of the nations. They'll go against the Russians. They'll defeat the Russians and back the Russians to the gates of Paris where they sign a peace treaty. But to make the Russians their leader. Then all the world with the Russians as their leader goes down to attack Israel. Israel can't count on the help of the Jews in America, so she cries for Messiah. Jesus returns on the clouds and defeats the armies of the earth. That's Armageddon. Now back to this article. Russia has hypersonic missiles. We've talked about that. That could hit its target in a matter of seconds. Henry Gruver saw that they hit in less than a minute. This is all within the capability of Russia, and the Russian military has been built to be a nuclear power, he said. I agree. Russia is a country that could annihilate everyone with nuclear weapons. They are not the best of the best in all areas of the military combat. Not at all, but that doesn't matter. All they need to do is to be the best in the nuclear weapons area, or specifically in my case, I will say, and to use them first in a surprise nuclear attack. Again, for she saith in her heart is hid a queen, and no widow, and shall see no sorrow. Therefore shall her plagues come in 1 day, death, mourning, and famine, and she shall be utterly burned with fire, for strong is the Lord God who judgeth her. Revelation 18, talking about America. That's all they need especially for America, just nuclear weapons and a surprise attack. The globalists want America gone. Why? Because they want their man, the Antichrist, set on the throne. They know that America wouldn't put up with that. The globalists want America gone, Russia gone, and that's why you're seeing the globalists having their puppet, Joe Biden, to be a moron and go to his own destruction. Now, you may be saying, Stan, does this relate to it? Oh boy, does it. China begins drilling one of the world's deepest holes in hunt for discoveries deep inside the earth. Now, I'm going to read the article. It's about 3 pages long. But I'm going to ask you what is really going on. And my guess is there's not 1 or 2 of you listening that will get it. Then I'll tell you what's really going on. The drilling of the borehole began on Tuesday in the desert in the Tarim Basin in China's northwestern region of Xinjiang, if I pronounced that right, a planned depth of 11,100 meters. The project is expected to be completed in 457 days and has been hailed by the Chinese state media outlets as a landmark in China's deep earth exploration. They're not exploring into the earth. The China National Petroleum Corporation, that gives you a hint, the country's leading oil and gas producer, which led the project, the equipment weighs more than 2,000 tons and is designed to withstand underground temperatures of up to 2,000 centigrade and an atmospheric pressure that is 1,300 times higher. What's going on? Xi Jinping has also stressed the need to boost domestic energy supply, pushing Chinese energy giants to look for natural resources. The Xinjiang region, in that particular, is known to be rich in mineral deposits and oil. Only last month, Sinopec, China's largest refining company, found sizable oil and gas flows in an exploration well in the Tarim Basin at a depth of more than 8,500 meters below the surface. With a depth of 12,262 meters, the Koala Super Deep borehole in northwest Russia is the world's deepest human-made hole. Now, you got it? What's going on? Oh, I know what you're going to guess. Well, China's looking for oil. Well, duh, we can see that. That's not the point. Why is China looking for oil? Oh, then your second answer is going to be, well, because they need it. It'll make them stronger. You're still not seeing it. How are they knowing where to drill? I can tell you that the reason they have not found massive amounts of oil in Israel, now there's a spiritual reason, which I'm not covering, because either they didn't drill in the right place or they didn't drill deep enough. So why is China, that is a massive nation, why are they going out in the middle of the desert where they've never drilled before and drilling? Well, because they want to find oil. No, you're missing it. No, it's because they made buddies with the Russians. So, well, the Russians have scalar wave. Now, Moloch has scalar wave too. The truth be known, there's probably several of them on the planet. Who knows who actually owns and controls them? But scalar wave is interdimensional. Scalar wave does not go A, B, C, D. I mean, like radar or like light, okay? It goes from A to C or A to D with nothing in between. And it goes right through water, goes right through metal, goes right through the earth as if it's not even there. And that's the reason Russia, when they got scalar wave and they discovered how to use it, that's the reason they started having massive oil discoveries. Why? Because it can see right through the earth and it can tell them exactly where the oil or the gold or the silver or whatever it is they're looking, or where the United States is hiding their nuclear weapons, or where all of the submarines are. That's the reason they pulled down the SOSUS warning nets, 10, 12, 15 years ago. They don't need them anymore. They know exactly where every one of our planes, where every one of our submarines, where our gold, our silver, our metal, where our nuclear weapons are stored. They know exactly where they are. There's no surprise. So, since the Chinese and the Russians made buddy-buddy, one of the Russians, now I do not know this is true, but I know this is true, okay? Holy Spirit's supposed to lead us into all truth, right? Okay? So, the Russians said, hey, I'll tell you what, I'll help you get oil as part of the deal. And China said, oh, that'd be wonderful. How can you do that? Well, we'll tell you where to drill. We'll tell you how deep to drill. So you watch this. 457 days. You mark the calendar. You watch this. They will find oil. And it will be, oh, such a surprise to the world. Now China has oil. It's because Russia told them where to drill, because Russia has the scalar wave. Well, in Israel, we know where to drill because there is a God in heaven that tells us where to drill. And I think I'll leave it right there, except for I want to encourage you to make certain that you are prepared. Do you have gold and silver? If not, we'll send you to cornerstoneassetmetals.com. But I want to take a second and explain why Joseph's Kitchen. Typically, your long-term storage food supply houses cost you about $9,000 per person for a year's worth of food. You got that? $9,000, one person, 1 year. You got to boil water. And like one guy emailed me, he says, I bought some of that stuff. This was a couple of years ago, before Joseph's Kitchen even came along. He said, I bought some of that stuff. And one weekend I decided I was going to actually try it. He said, so I pulled it down, followed all the instructions, boiled the water, and I made some of it. I could not get the wife and kids to eat it. He said, I had to choke it down myself. So if you've bought some of that stuff for long-term storage, emergency supplies, emergency food, you might ought to see if you can really eat it. Now, at Joseph's Kitchen, what they do is with wheat. This is the same thing Pharaoh and Joseph fed the world with for 7 years. And it's very good tasting. As a matter of fact, my daughter, I think, made like eight loaves this past weekend. I've got probably 4 to 6 loaves in the refrigerator right now we eat at least a slice almost every day. Anyway, what Joseph's Kitchen can do for you, it's about $1,000 to feed one person for a year. Let me say it again. About $1,000, not $9,000, but about $1,000 to feed one person for a year. They'll actually eat it. It's healthy, and it's not much more difficult than boiling water. You do need a grinder, and that's all part of the package that you can get at josephkitchen.com, and also the ingredients. When you go there, what you want to do is order the machine package. That's all the mechanical things that you need to make the bread. Then you order the food you want. Do you want a food for 1 year, one person a year, 4 person, 6 person? How much food do you want? And then they ship that to you, and they've got it right now, ready to ship. And there's no delays. You order, I don't know, probably if you call them, they could even put it in the shipping even today, if it's early enough in the day. But for sure, tomorrow it'll be shipped out to you. They got it in stock. Delicious. And it has nutrition in it. I mean, like I eat a slice of the whole wheat bread before I go play racquetball because it gives me strength. Like none of the other potions and lotions and fire me up, get me going, and the sports drinks. Nothing is better than bread. Bread, yeah, it gives you strength to go on. Remember, wheat fed the world for some 7 years. Go to josephskitchen.com. josephskitchen.com. And if you put in promo code Prophecy Club, I think there's a discount there.
Today, we live in unsettling times. Have you ever wondered what you're going to do when food is no longer on the shelves? I'm Leslie, owner and founder of Joseph's Kitchen, and I want to show you how to make healthy, homemade, whole wheat bread for only a few $100s a year.
At Joseph's Kitchen, our ingredients have been packaged for immediate use or long-term storage. Go to josephskitchen.com or call the number on your screen to order today. Don't get caught unprepared. Go to josephskitchen.com now.
Terry Saka, cornerstoneassetmetals.com. The world seems to be falling apart financially. Why should they call cornerstoneassetmetals.com today?
Well, the FDIC insurance fund is now empty. Not only is it empty, it's at zero. So now all bank bailouts are going to have to come from taxpayers. This could result in trillions of new currency notes being printed. The more they print, the more inflation we're going to have, potentially hyperinflation, and we need to protect ourselves away from that dollar.
cornerstoneassetmetals.com. Go online or give them a call at 888-747-3309. cornerstoneassetmetals.com. You don't have to get anything today. Just give them a call and say, hey, here's my situation. What do you suggest? When a nuclear device is detonated, the dust settles on everything. You breathe it, absorb it. You cannot stop it. And when you breathe it or absorb it, it floods your thyroid with bad iodine, killing your thyroid and killing you. But there is a solution. I just went out to my freezer. This is mine. I keep it out there. I've had it for several years. And it says, this is potassium iodate. As a matter of fact, I keep it in the freezer, and I keep them in a Ziploc bag, just like this. This is my personal supply we keep in the freezer. So there you go. Now, it's $30 a bottle. If you order 5 bottles, you get an extra bottle free. You need 1 bottle per exposure per person, and it has the instructions on it. But anyway, I would suggest you go to prophecyclub.com, and let me just tell you, we've only got 100 bottles. Now, we've already made plans to get another 1,000 bottles in, being this is coming up. Right now, we only have 100. So my suggestion is you get over to prophecyclub.com and you get your bottles ordered real quick. You might even be a part of the 100 that we have. And if not, then another week or so after that, we will get some more bottles, get it out to you. $30 a bottle, order 5 and get a 6th one free. Here it is, potassium iodate. Is your life worth $30? I mean, you may as well have it. I mean, spend $30. Spend $30. So you get a suitcase nuke in the area, something like that. Not worried.